there. From overseas, Martha, there's this. 2 bombs exploding in Pakistan. The attacks killing at least 22, injuring more than 50. That's in the country's largest city. And Pakistani police saying the first blast attached to a motorcycle, hitting a bus as it took Muslim worshippers to a religious event there. And most of the victims were women and children. The second blast blew up outside of a hospital treating the victims from the first attack. Today's terror coming 2 days after 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in a roadside bomb attack in Pakistan outside of a girls' school, highlighting the American military's growing role in that country. I want to bring in Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North right now, our Fox News military analyst and host of War Stories. And Colonel, welcome back and good morning to you. What were these Americans doing or others doing in northern Pakistan at the time when they were hit?
We have U.S. Special Forces there training Pakistani counterinsurgency forces. That girls' school that they were about to cut the blue ribbon on is part of an effort to separate the local populace from the Taliban leadership and the very powerful Haqqani network, which has basically ruled out there since 2002. You know, Bill, these are very high-risk activities, but they're absolutely essential in a counterinsurgency, and they're becoming increasingly successful. Thus, bombings like today, aimed at the population by the Taliban and their supporters and al-Qaeda, those are the kinds of things that show the kind of desperation that they're experiencing.
But this bombing here, it has to be a result of inside intelligence.
Well, it probably is, and that should not be unexpected in an area that's been under the control of the Taliban since 2002. It didn't have to come from the Pakistani military, as some have speculated. Think about this. Information from Taliban supporters in that area have been outraged that the Pakistani government, with the help of the United States and those special forces guys, have been building a girls' school. Girls are not supposed to be educated under the Taliban. That's what this is all about.
Stanley McChrystal, who's running the show there in Afghanistan now, said something very interesting yesterday. After months of saying that the situation was getting worse in Afghanistan, he's changing his tune slightly, saying that it's not getting as worse as it was, meaning that it's leveled off. He didn't say it was getting better. It says it's not going the same direction it was before. Why a reversal, Colonel?
Well, I think we are winning. I'll go further than General McChrystal at risk of offending a guy I expect to see here in a few months over there. Look, the surge is already working. It showed that we are committed to a victory over there, not for us, but for them. It's working even though less than a third of the troops that are going to be there are there, and it's right on the front end of a major offensive that's about to take place in Kandahar and Helmand in the southern part of the country to disrupt the opium harvest, which is coming up. Marja, which has been in the news, is in the top 2 bazaars for opium in the world. And those leaflet drops that we're seeing out there are warnings to non-combatants to get out of the way, to separate the Taliban from their supporters. I would expect a very big fight shortly after the next contingent of Marines arrives out there in the next few weeks.
Right, in the next few weeks, and certainly when the weather gets warmer. But I'm confused. I hear what McChrystal's saying. I understand your explanation. But the head of National Intelligence, Denny Blair's on the Hill this week talking about the Taliban, and he said they're increasingly dangerous and destabilizing. I'm trying to figure out, what's the truth in this?
Well, no, they are increasingly dangerous because the desperation that leads them to recruit continually suicide bombers to do things like what we saw today in Karachi and what we saw happen the other day with that convoy on the way to open that girls' school. Those are suicide bombers. This is not an attack in which the people who perpetrate it expect to live. They intend to die in it. That is a sign of desperation, and it's one of the very few ways they have of disrupting what's going on.
All right, Colonel, thank you for that. Oliver North has been on the ground many times. Good to have you in today on a Friday. Thank you, Colonel.
Bill.